I need to go pick up 2 engines out of the storage barn. One of them is a V6 and I need to get it up on wheels. So I'm going to mount it to this engine cradle. I need to put that engine cradle together first. Instructions. I'm going to need my metric adjustables for this one. So tell me why the bracket bolts are metric, and yet the wheel bolts are good old USA. I don't know. All right, let's go get an engine. We ran into what I hope is just a small hiccup. The engine cradle was made for a GM small block, and this little V6 dimensionally is smaller, so the cradle won't mate up to where the engine mounts are. So we're heading over to the storage barn and we're going to jack the engine up using a chain fall and then lower it down onto the cradle and then get some dimensions that I think, or I hope we can use to make an extension block that allows me to mount the engine to the cradle with relative ease. So I'll see you at the barn. So this is the V6, and I'll tell you more about that whole engine, how I came to own it, what it is, what I think it is, what it can be when I get it back to the shop. But for right now, we need to get this thing up on this stand so that I can put it on wheels and roll it up on my trailer to get it home. Now the problem is, this stand is made for a Chevy or GM small block, and the engine mounts are different. They actually come off the side of the block, not the this edge of the block. And if you look, you can see that the distance is enough that I can't use these mounts the way they are. So what I need to do is to build some extensions that come off from here, and then I can put a bolt through those extensions here and here, which would allow me to mount it onto that cradle. So the plan today is to use this chain fall, mount it up on these rafters, and then use that to lift this block up high enough so I can get the cradle under it and get some dimensions to build those blocks. Let's go do that. Now what I want to do is to use these nylon lifting straps. I'm going to put them over the rafters trying to spread the load between those rafters. Those rafters are old school 2x6s, actually cut dimensioned at 2x6, and they should hold the weight. I'm pretty confident they'll hold the weight, but I need to get these straps over those 2x6s so that I can reach down and get the chain fall hooked to it. So here's what I need to do. I've got this jacked up so that the angle between this plate and this plate are the same, so they made up. But what I need to do is I need to make a riser block that goes from here to here so that I can drill some holes through here and put a through bolt through that riser block, and then also bolt that riser block up from underneath. So I need to balance these so that they're both about the same distance. So that way I can figure out the length of that riser block from here to here. And here's the other thing, again, because this is built for a small block, the distance from here to here is longer, so I'm going to have to either put some kind of a spacer in there or just make some kind of a pipe spacer that I can put in and secure that into here from one of these holes as well. All right, so engine be damned, we're going to get this thing done. So let's get some dimensions. So the dimension on this one is 3.5 inches. Let's see what it is on the other side. That one is 2 3/4. So if we make these blocks, I'm going to guess 3 1/4. 3 1/4 on each block. That should get me the length that I need. The other thing I need to do is get the block itself in between the motor mount itself. So I need 3 inches long, and the width at the motor mount 2 1/8, and then I need to relieve that so that the block itself fits up inside. So that's a 1-inch relief that allows the block itself to fit up inside here. And I gotta make 2 of them, 1 for each side. Now the other thing that I need to do is get some spacers to put in here, that's 2 1/2. This is 3 1/4. So if we do 3-inch spacers, 3-inch spacers ought to get what I need. And when I look at this, that lines up from here to here really, really very nicely, very well. So we should be able to get a bolt through here. But we're going to need bolts that are about 4 inches long. So we need 4-inch bolts. And let's make sure that the thread pattern on this is correct. So if I can get this in here. So that is the correct thread, I believe. Yeah, that is the correct thread. So I'll take one of these with me when I go to buy the bolt. We have the dimensions that we need, so let's go back to the shop, make up the blocks that I need, get back over here and see if we can get this thing done today. Get this thing on the wheels today. I'm in the shop making those extension blocks for that engine cradle. Now, I don't have any aluminum, I don't have any steel, but what I do have is a lot of walnut or a lot of wood. I am a woodworker. If you're not watching my other channel, 6 Round Studio, where we do all things restoration, firearms, guitar building, head on over to there as well. But I have lots of walnut. And the walnut, this piece of walnut, or these two pieces, are very dense, they're very hard. So they should take the stresses of the weight of that engine. This will all be in compression. There won't be any shear moments in any of this, so it should all be good enough for what we're trying to do. So the block is going to go down against that angled plate here, and then come back up against the bottom of the engine, or the engine mount. So I need to find centerline on this. It's 5.5, so it's 2 3/4 is centerline. Now, knowing centerline, I know that we need to make this 2 1/8 wide. That gives us our 2 1/8. And we wanted that to be 1 inch into the mount. So we're going to have to remove these 2 corners. Now, this doesn't need to be precise in any way, so I'm going to cut this out on the bandsaw. In fact, I'm actually going to freehand it. So that means this section right here is going to fit up inside the engine mount. So that dimension is really good enough. I am going to put it in the mill and going to touch off with a 1/2 inch mill, and I'm just going to clean this up, square it all up. Okay, so that has to be 1 inch. Nice. Alright, let's do this to the other one, and I'll bring him back when it's done. Next thing I need to do is drill the through hole for the pin that goes through the engine mount to mount it to this. We need a 1/2 inch drill, or a 1/2 inch hole, and that hole has to be centered a 1/2 inch from this position here, which will allow this block to fit up inside that motor mount without interfering. Alright, that's number 1. Okay, so with the 2 of these done, all squared up, the mounting holes in, let's go over to the storage barn and get these things installed on that cradle. The first thing I want to do is install these wooden blocks that I made. So that's tight enough. That'll do what it needs to do when it gets mounted down here. All right, let's put the other side on. Alright, there we go on that one. I want to get these thimbles in before I go too far, because I want to be able to support the engine on the back. I got this one in over here. When I dropped the motor, it spread this apart, so I've had to ratchet it in to get it to fit. We have the nipple standoffs installed on the back. I've got the wooden blocks installed in the pivot on both sides. Next thing I need to do is drill a couple holes up through here, and then I'm going to put in some lag bolts so that I can keep that intact on this part of the bracket. So that's what we're going to do next. Well, that took me all day to do. Believe it or not, something as simple as that. I had to make 2 trips back to the shop. It's about a 15-minute drive from my shop to here. I made these wooden blocks and I made them wrong. I had to go back to the shop and make them a little less tall because it was lifting the front of the engine up so much that it was putting stress on those thimbles or nipples that are in the back. So the next time you see this engine, it'll be back at my shop. I'm going to get it on the trailer, bring it back, offload it. When I get it there, probably going to clean it up a little bit, and then I want to, in the next episode on this engine, I want to tell you about it, where I got it, how I got it, why I got it, and we'll try to do some identification on it and determine what it is. I'm pretty confident based on the color. There's nothing on it that says it's a Buick yet, but I'm pretty sure it's an old Buick V6 back in the 60s, early 70s. Pretty confident about that. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell so you get notified the next time I post a video. Appreciate you guys being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.